Welcome back. The Internal Revenue Service will give one company a swing at its Enterprise Development Operations Services contract. IRS leaders say the contract will go through a government-wide acquisition vehicle to be determined. Jim Williams is partner at Schambach & Williams Consulting. He's former head of the IRS's procurement organization. Jim, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program. When you look at your former organization, what do you see in this acquisition? What do you see in this RFP?
Well, I think, Francis, first of all, it's great to see you. I think they have the right goals. And the right goals are try to look at all these different systems and how do we modernize them and really reduce and eliminate redundancies that are across the systems, the management, the operations. That's the right goal. This acquisition approach, I do have some thoughts and recommendations, but the IRS is under an enormous spotlight right now. I mean, when you look at all the funding for all the things that are going through right now, they're really counterbalanced by, collecting taxes. And even if you look at what Charles Rosati, the former commissioner, has, the paper he's put out on shrink the tax gap, $574 billion. Everybody's counting on the IRS. So it's very, very important. Everything that they do coming up in the next decade and the next few years. And this is important too, what they're trying to accomplish.
The challenge here, too, is that they're working with infrastructure that some of it hasn't been modernized since you worked on it 20 years ago, and some of it you didn't get to then, so it's even older than that. How does that impact the way that an organization should look at an acquisition like this, Jim?
Well, this is not just an acquisition, even though as an acquisition, it's bigger than the prime contract we had, which was really a handful of very, very large systems like CADE, like the integrated financial system. This is probably 5 times that. It's taking 20 to 25 systems, major systems for the IRS, taking all of their development, modernization, enhancement, and O&M, and putting it all under one roof. And that is an enormous change management problem and challenge.
All right, you said recommendations. What do you see here that you would like to see either different or make sure happens as this project moves forward, whatever?
Well, 2 things. One is I think they could use some outside help. And I was honored to sit on the recent Social Security modernization panel under Alan Balutis with Rennie DiPentima and a cast of really terrific former government people who gave them recommendations about their modernization. I think to prepare for something this massive, this important, they should seek an outside set of advice. People who've been there and done this kind of things. And, whether you talk to, Charles Rosati or, people, I can think of a panel right now and maybe you put it under MITRE, but give them some advice on how to get ready for this. That's number one, and how to manage this, because this is really a 4-part partnership between the CIO, the IRS business side, the procurement side, and the contractor and contractors. And one other recommendation is when you look at trying to put this all under a single award, it seems as though you're passing off the integrator duties to one company in the private sector. That doesn't work. You need to have the IRS very involved in integration. And I look at the example of Sagar Samant over at GSA, where he's brought all his contractors together to look at his ecosystem as part of tech exchanges. He brings them together. He understands how to integrate. And I'll say one last thing about integration. Charles Rosati used to say it is much harder and much longer, but the payoffs are enormous. So I think the IRS is attacking the right things. But with all the other challenges, I think they could use some outside help. That's number one. If you don't mind, number 2, they said in the RFI that they want the prime contractor to do 50% of the work. I think that is a giant mistake because you've got a bunch of large IT systems integrators already there. And if you require that one of them who's the awardee does 50%, those other 2 who are huge parts of their critical suppliers are probably left out. And you've got great small business goals. I support that. But that 50% goal for the prime is way too limiting. It limits the partnerships. It limits your access to the talent you need. And you want all of those companies that have great people with great experience in IRS to be part of this modernization. Eliminate the 50% goal.
Does it make sense to run this through a GWhack as IRS has said it's going to do, Jim?
I think a GWhack is fine. I think the Alliant is a good vehicle for this. I don't think it really matters. That's really, a best-in-class path, and I think Alliant GWhack is fine for this. But I do think they, both from an acquisition program and even the business side of IRS, there's a whole governance behind this that needs to be looked at, because you're talking about something that is so critical to the station. You're talking about 2.5 million man hours under this contract. This deserves some special attention and advice to make sure you can be as ready as possible to get it right.
You mentioned the Social Security board, the advisory board that helped SSA to build a strategy, and that you were on that. You're right. The people that you served with, including yourself, were an all-star panel. You volunteering to do the same thing for the IRS, Jim?
Of course I would. I mean, I worked there for 12 years. I love the service. If you look at Fortune 500, they're Fortune 1. They're a great organization, great people. I have a lot of respect for Shanna Webbers, and Nancy Seeger. I don't know as well the CIO, but heard great things about her. I just think they need some help to make sure that they can really get the right foundation to be successful.
I'll pass her your phone number. Thanks very much, Jim. It's great to have you on the program.